Hi everyone, and welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. Welcome to November. We are starting off this month talking about radical acceptance, and that'll be our theme throughout the month. So Thanksgiving and the month of November as the year wraps up can be a time where we think about gratitude, but we want to do this in a thoughtful and intentional way. So, Jennifer Evans, our licensed mental health counselor, started off this month by talking about radical acceptance and the traveler's perspective. And what that really means is taking on this perspective of being in a new place or in a new situation and just accepting it as it unfolds because everything around you is new. And implementing that in day-to-day life is easier said than done. And this is where radical acceptance comes in. Radical acceptance is in DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, and this concept is a reminder that life happens around us and it's happening to us, and there's some things we can change about it and some things we can't change. And the things that we can't change, we have to learn how to accept. So radical acceptance is embracing this to the fullest extent. Whatever thought or feeling arises, embracing it at the full potential. So we are going to go on a little adventure today for Workshop Wednesday, practicing this in real time, and then we'll also do a radical acceptance exercise that has to do with bubbles, so stay tuned. For our Workshop Wednesday, we're taking a walk to a nearby park. I am in Switzerland, embracing the traveler's perspective and also embracing radical acceptance. So as we go along this walk, I'll be talking a bit about radical acceptance, what it means, and what it can mean for you. And then we'll wrap up with an activity. A key point of radical acceptance is that we're not exactly approving what's happening, we're just accepting it. So we want to make sure we understand the difference. We don't have to like or agree with what is happening in our lives, but what we want to do is radically accept the present as it is so that we don't create additional suffering. And this is another key point, the difference between pain and suffering. Pain in life is inevitable. We all go through pain points. Suffering is when we don't accept and we create more pain for ourselves. When we accept reality as it's happening around us, then we can reduce our suffering to just pain, which can be more manageable. And as we learned last week in our closing of October Wellness Challenge, a big part of radical acceptance is learning how to let go. When we talk about radical acceptance, we mostly are talking about what's happening in our lives that is outside of our control and accepting reality as it is. Radical acceptance is easier said than done, so we're going to be doing a radical acceptance activity focusing on the breath, which is a physical component that we can control that helps us accept. The breath and radical acceptance are intertwined because when we focus on our breathing, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system doing this deep breathing, and we can also practice radical acceptance at the same time. So let's get started with our exercise on radical acceptance in the park with our bubbles. So I have my bubbles and we are going to be practicing deep breathing, which is a physical representation of one of the ways that you can practice radical acceptance. And what better way than to blow some bubbles? So take a nice deep breath, inhale through the nose. And on the exhale, blow out the bubbles. You can keep the exhale going if the bubbles stop. In through the nose. And exhale, bubbles. This is just a reminder to stay radically accepting whatever is happening around you. Pain in life is inevitable, but suffering comes from when we let our pain dwell in our mind and enter these negative dynamics, which is something that our licensed mental health counselor, Jen Evans, brings up in her neuroscience-based framework. And so just taking the time in your days to practice this radical acceptance, this is something that is intentional and takes lots of time. So I hope you have a lovely time going on your own adventure and seeing what radical acceptance looks like to you. See you next Wednesday.